హౌస్లో
మీరు చదవండి ఇంకా.
హౌస్లో పెడుతుంది, అక్కడికి వెళ్ళి చదువుకొస్తా. గుడ్ మార్నింగ్ టు చిల్డ్రన్. Good morning to all. I am Dr. Lavanya Kumari, Assistant Professor in Economics, Adhikama University. Due to COVID, we are disturbed to the regular class. Anyway, we have to fulfill our duty as per the instructions of the administration. We need to take online classes. So today we are discuss the topic human capital versus fiscal capital. The main topic is human capital versus fiscal capital and components of human capital. In introduction, a number of classical economists, notably among them Adam Smith, pointed out that education helped to increase the productive capacity of workers in the same way as the purchase of new machinery and other forms of physical capital increased the productive capacity of a factory or other enterprise. Thus, an analogy was drawn between an investment in physical capital and an investment in human capital. According to Marshall, envisioned education as a fixed capital in human resource and as a national investment. As per Adam Smith, in his book Wealth of Nations, states that the acquisition of such talents by the maintenance of the acquired during his education, study or apprenticeship always costs a real expense, which is a capital fixed and realized, as it were, in this person. These talents, as they make a part of his future, so do they likewise of that of the society to which he belongs. As for Marshall, capital consists in a great part of knowledge and organization. Knowledge is the most powerful engine of production. We are consider human capital as human resource. We already learned in previous classes. We have human resource. That means human resource means the total population of the country treated as a human resource. What is the definition of fiscal capital? Fiscal capital in economics, the term fiscal capital is used to denote the inputs. Inputs means factors of production. We know how many are there. There are 4 factors of production in our economics: land, labor, capital, and organization. These inputs are man-made goods which are owned by the company, such as computers, machinery, equipment, tools, and so forth. It is used in the production process to enable conversion of raw material into final goods. This is the meaning of fiscal capital as per the economics. When one wants to start a company, a huge amount of fiscal capital is invested in the initial stage so that the company can make its existence in the marketplace. On the basis of scientist knowledge, sufficient knowledge, decision is taken to invest in the fiscal capital. For this purpose, the entrepreneur finds finds out the expected returns from the range of investments, and then the one generating relatively higher return is chosen. Therefore, the ownership of fiscal capital is a result of a planned and conscious decision of the entrepreneur. This is the definition of the fiscal capital. In definition of the human capital is human capital connotes the experience which an employee takes to the organization in the form of knowledge, skills, and abilities, talents, intellectual intelligence, values, etc. are called human capital connotes, which she has announced acquired over time. As a result, the employees are perceived as an asset whose value can be increased by investing in their training and development like any other asset of the company. This is called human capital. The concept makes it clear that all the employees at work are not equal and they differ in their proficiencies. We know how many differences in our midst. Some have good knowledge, good skills, valuable abilities, most talented persons, and intelligence. These are the different proficiencies. Simply put, it portrays the aggregate value of the firm's intellectual capital, which is a sustained sum of creativity and innovation. It is a standard used to ascertain the economic value of an employee's skill set. Human capital is not owned by the company, rather rented from employees, and so there remains an uncertainty of being lost and the employee leaves the organization. Human capital connotes in modern economics thought the concept of education is considered as a unique investment in human capital in the present for the future. It has been identified as an important parameter for national development. The word capital refers to the productive power of natural and man-made produced goods. The concept of human capital refers to the fact that human beings invest in themselves by means of education and training or other activities, which raises their future income by increasing their lifetime earnings. Economists use the term investment. It refers to expenditure on assets that will produce income in the future and contrast investment expenditure to consumption, which produces immediate satisfaction or benefits but does not create future income. This is the definitions of human capital and fiscal capital. There is a distinction between both human capital and fiscal capital as per economics. Some are listed in below. You can observe the table fiscal capital and human capital. Land, machinery, equipments, natural resources are the best examples for fiscal capital, and knowledge, skills, attitudes, health, and fitnesses are the best examples for human capital. Human capital is different from fiscal capital. Fiscal capital character is visible, tangible, or quantifiable, but human capital invisible, not precisely quantifiable. So fiscal capital values gets reduced with use depreciation. but human capital values gets increased with use. Physical capital is always a means to an end. Human capital can be both a means and an end. Physical capital can be priced and exchanged for money, but human capital priceless even though it is priced. Physical capital consumers and producers are different. In human capital, both consumers and producers are the same. Physical capital stock gets adjusted with use, but human capital stock never gets exhausted. Physical capital efficiency of use depends only on technical quality of the product, but human capital efficiency does not depend just on technical quality, sincerity, and dedication of the user are also important. These are main differences between physical capital and human capital. Here you have observed diagram knowledge, technology decided by knowledge, natural resources, and social infrastructure. But aggregate production function depends on physical capital, labor hours, human capital, and technology. These aggregate production function leads to real GDP. In conclusion, physical capital and human capital both require significant investment to acquire and develop. In addition, firms need to spend considerable amounts of money in repairing both of these type of capital. It is therefore crucial for business owners and managers to identify and utilize sources of both types of capital available to them in order to add value to the business operations. A clear distinction between the two types of capital will enable their proper ambition combination, resulting in maximum productivity and returns for business entities. Physical and human capital both require. Here some components of human capital. Components are influencing or determining factors. The accumulation of physical capital is quite important in the process of economic growth of a country, but with the passage of time, it is being increasingly realized that the growth of tangible capital stock depends extensively on the human capital in formation, but get its due importance. In the absence of adequate investment in human capital, utilization of physical capital will be at low price, leading to retardation of development. Economists like Gulj, Kuznets, and others observed that one of the important factors responsible for the rapid growth of American economy as well as Indian economy is their increasing allocation of outlays on education, resulting significant improvement in the level of human capital formation. Some of the main, some of the components are of human capital. The following are the three: one, health and nutrition; second one, education and training; third one, housing development. First, we want to discuss the point one, health and nutrition. As the poor health and undernourishment adversely affect the quality of manpower. The best way to improve the quality of manpower in underdeveloped countries and also developing countries like India is to provide adequate food and proper nourishment to people along with adequate health and sanitation facilities. So that means which country provide adequate health and sanitation facilities, in that country human capital is in more effectively. Second one, education and training. The second component, the second component, the second composition of human capital formation is to provide education and training facilities to the people in general. Investment made in education can accelerate economic growth. Proper utilization of manpower depends on education system, training and industrial experiences of the people. As per Singer, Professor Singer has rightly observed, investment in education is not only highly productive but also yields increasing returns. In order to raise the general living standards of the people, investment in human capital for making provision for education and training is very much required. Moreover, adult education and training is also another integral part of manpower planning. In Andhra Pradesh and also in India, we have, along with adult education and training, bridge courses and other education systems, we input our education policy. So, third one, housing development. The final component of human capital formation is the development of housing facilities for the people, which is an important determinant of human resource development. In developing countries and underdeveloped countries, special incentives for private house construction should be provided in order to provide healthy living conditions to the people. Moreover, steps must be taken to introduce subsidized housing schemes. We have so many housing schemes in our state as well as both the governments very keen in this housing development. In conclusion, human capital is therefore required to staff new and expanding government services, to introduce new system of land use and new methods of agriculture, to develop new means of communication, to carry forward industrialization and to build the education system. In other words, innovation or the process of change from static or traditional society requires very large doses of strategic human capital in order to remove economic backwardness of the underdeveloped and developing countries, as well as to instill the capacities and motivations to progress. It is quite necessary to increase the level of knowledge and skills of the people. Thus, in the absence of proper development of quality of human factor, the developing countries will not be able to attain the desired rate of progress. In conclusion, the expenditure on education does represent investment in human capital, and what is a profitable investment both for the individual and for society, although some cities deny that the earnings of education workers provide an adequate measures of economic benefits of education. However, it is difficult to answer the question of whether human or physical capital represents the more profitable form of investment. An early attempt to answer this question was called investment in men versus investment in machines. And this is still a matter that is of vital concern to economists and planners. As per George explained estimates of the returns to physical capital in both developed and developing countries and conducted that the return to both forms of capital are higher in developing countries, which reflect the differences in relative scarcities relative scarcities of capital in either farm in developed and developing countries, and human capital is a superior investment in developing countries but not in developed countries. This is the conclusion to our topic. In our topic here, I coded three references. You can learn more information from these three references, and also books available in our main library. We should, and also which are coded in the end of the syllabus too. You can observe and read more information and get full knowledge about this topic. Out of this, we have to submit the assignment through mail. I I gave two questions. One, explain the components of human capital. Second question, what are the differences between physical capital and human capital? You can you can submit this assignment through my mail ID, that is alk.aco@aknu.edu.in. Within 1 week, you can submit this assignment. You can ask any questions regarding this topic through mail, mobile phone call, or WhatsApp. Thank you watching this video. Stay home and stay safe. Thank you one and all. Thank you.